Hello there, you're watching WilhelMiniatures. In this episode, I'm going to make a Plague Marine for my ever-growing Nurgle army. In the previous episode, I created this female Plague Marine, or female Death Guard Space Marine. I didn't go too much overboard to make it look more feminine, I think, but I still think it works quite well and that it reads much more feminine than the regular Death Guard or Plague Marines. The only problem is that she is quite a lot taller than a regular Death Guard, so the scale doesn't quite match. I think it would be a little bit more like this when I move them apart and just pretend that they are the same scale right now. And if I did that, she would be perfect. So what I want to do in this episode is actually to make a male Plague Marine and also make that one in a Truescale form. When creating this miniature for the previous episode, I ended up with some very nice leftover bits. So mainly the torso that was supposed to be with these Gal Warback legs, which is this one, and the small Death Guard helmet, which came with the belly. Yeah, it's basically this bit, the upgrade, Death Guard upgrade kit from Forge World. So what I did while working on this one in the last episode is that I glued these two pieces together and they fit quite well. So this will be my basis for the kit bash. And already you can see that this guy is a lot more intimidating and Space Marine-y than whatever this weird proportioned guy is. So, let's get to it. The regular legs for the new, or they're not new anymore I guess, but the most updated Death Guard miniatures are quite impressive. They are very thick. But I think they would be a bit short for this guy. And if I extend them, if I make them taller, they would be too thin. So instead, I think I want to see if it's going to work using the Terminator legs from the Chaos Lord that comes with the 40k starter kit. Anyway, his legs are a lot bigger and more oppressive than the regular ones because it is a Terminator, so I think this will be a better fit. Wow, his stands are so wide that it's ridiculous. I mean, his thighs are at like above 90-degree angle, so yeah, it's gonna need some work. First, I'm just going to remove all the extras. Of course, I could keep this this belly part, the underside of the belly, but I don't know, I think there is something that looks a little bit strange when the entire miniature is armored and the belly is not, so I think I'm going to give it some armor plates there instead. Alright, I ended up cutting away most of whatever was between the legs, so they don't really have a connection point anymore. But the size of the legs look quite right compared to the body, I think, or I need to give it a little bit more height actually. I glued a little piece of scrap plastic between the legs. I might trim it down later, but for now they stick together in like an approximate pose that I like. I need to move this this foot, but yeah, first I'm going to attach the torso and see how to orient everything. And I think these pieces are quite good together. It's going to be a quite massive Death Guard, which is what I'm going for. And I think it's going to fit very well with my female version, because it's going to be approximately her height, but it's going to be a little more butch. Anyway, I need to put a little piece between there, and I think I want an armor plate in front here. And I actually think I want like a big belly armor plate that some of the Death Guard have. A bigger one than the one I used on her. So I'm thinking about this one that comes with the same kit. When trying out some pieces, it's important also to see if they might look better the other way around. So putting it on like this, it crashed with one of the legs, but if I turn it upside down, it's got a sharper part lower down, so like this, it actually fits quite well. For the left arm, I'm going for this this bolter because I really like this shoulder pad design right there, and I think it fits quite well. I don't want to make this one too fancy. I want it to be more or less a regular Plague Marine, just a bit bigger. I think that's going to look good with my other Nurgle Dark Mechanic miniatures, because then this will clearly stand apart as a true Space Marine. Next thing on the list is to swap out the feet, because I changed the position of the legs. The feet are now looking a little bit strange, especially the right one. I have a few different options when it comes to giving this one new feet. I was thinking about matching the ones that I made for my previous Death Guard. So yeah, I cut out one of the same ones, but I think it is a little bit too small, even though I want this one to have smaller feet than original, because yeah, it's a little bit better proportion that way. But I think the regular Stormcast feet are too small. And a similar looking boot is the one from the Blight Kings box, but again, it is a little small, even though it's nicer than the Stormcast one, but yeah, it's again too small. So then I went to look for something very, very big, and found this ridiculous power boot platform thing, which would look quite nice. I think it would be an appropriate size, but the design is not really to my liking. So in the end, I think I'm just going to snip off a pair of Stormcast boots, because they are the appropriate size. When Games Workshop decided to use colored plastic for their smaller starter boxes, I guess that was a good plan for, you know, people who wanted to, yeah, just play games, because then they're ready straight out from the box. But for my case, it's kind of horrible, because the combination here with the puke green and very bright blue kind of hurts my eyes. But yeah, maybe I should put on a black and white filter right now just to see how it looks. And yeah, the size is good, which is the only thing that matters. I need some kind of hero rock to have this miniature stand on, so I found this the backside of a Terminator torso, the Death Guard Terminators, because this part right here just looks like some left machinery of some kind. I was looking through the Death Guard pieces that I have to match the armor on this arm, but I couldn't find any arms with a pose that I liked. And the way this one is standing, I feel that the arm should point upwards. So what I think I can do is use this arm from the Blight Kings. With the arm positioned like this, I think I have a few options here. You can either be holding like a staff or a banner or something, but if I hold it a little bit more like this, it can also look like he's holding something that's hanging down. For example, a head, like this head with a lot of hair on it, would be quite cool. Or, yeah, he is quite a lot bigger than a regular 40k miniature, so he could even be holding like the torso of a person or a limp person. So I'm going to think a little bit about what I want to do there. So while I think, I'm going to work a bit on the back and attaching a backpack. I might have gone over the top with the bells when I created this little bell guy. But, you know, going over the top with bells is definitely what Nurgle is all about. I want to add some fabric to my Plague Marine for some extra texture and details, and also to hide some areas that are a little bit too messy. So this is just a piece of an old t-shirt that I am cutting into thin strips. And I want the ends of these to be very rough and tattered, because if a Death Guard or a Plague Marine were to put on some robes, they probably wouldn't stay nice for that long. So I want the ends to look a little bit like this. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of super glue to the contact point. There, and then I'm going around. I think I want some kind of skirt or loincloth, but I want to cover, for example, this big hole back here and the transition between the leg armor and the body, where everything is a little rough. I make sure to glue down different sizes on the strips for variation and to make it look a little bit random. To seal the fabric in place, I'm soaking it with some watered down Mod Podge. At this stage, it's also possible to shape the fabric a bit. One thing that usually happens is that the fabric, when it's wet, it kind of stretches towards the closest surface. So if you want it to be flowing, you need to keep an eye on it. You can make a little bit of flow by lifting it up in some areas to make it a bit dynamic. The more I look at it, the less convinced I am about the right arm, because even though this part of the body points upwards, his pose is very relaxed, so it doesn't really look like he's about to smash someone in the head with a hammer. So I think it would be better if his other arm was a little bit more relaxed. Not all the way down, but maybe a little bit less aggressive. Alright, what about instead of using an arm, I can use a leg? Because this is one of the legs from the Blight King box, the really bloated leg of the leader, which has some very, very nurgly details. I think it would be appropriate with like a really messed up shoulder for this guy. I think it fits much better with this small weapon on the miniature as a whole, because the flag was just taking up too much attention. However, I really like this weird little thing that I made, this bell demon. So I was thinking about adding it on its own base so that it can hover around my Plague Marines. I think the best way to do it is just to drill some holes in the torso. And now I'm just going to glue in some thin wires. Alright, and then I just need to bend the wires into place to have it on the base. This thing is actually turning out to be almost cooler than the Plague Marine I'm making, so that's a little bit funny. Now these two are also a quite good pair, because it looks like the Space Marine is kind of ringing the Bell Demon with its hammer, so it's just walking around behind them and hitting him with the bell hammer. So what I'm going to do is just add some lumps here and there where I have a bad transition or where I need some more flesh. For example, here the gray piece or the fleshy part is much bigger than the armor, so I want it to look like the armor is kind of submerged by flesh, or that the flesh is so swollen that it's kind of starting to grow on top of the armor. I see that I scraped this area away a little bit rough, so I want to cover it up with some Nurgly armor details. So first I'm just going to attach a lump and smooth the edges so that they are more or less smooth with the armor. Then I have this homemade sculpting tool, which is basically just a blob of green stuff with lots and lots of holes in it. And then I'm going to push it or roll it over the center. So I think, yeah, this little push is good. And you can see that I made this nasty Nurgly pattern. And then I'm coming in with my knife tool. This is a very simple way to add Nurgle details to armor, I think. I used a mix of Mod Podge and Garden Earth to texture the bases, and with that, my 2 Nurgle characters are finished. It is considerably larger than the regular Plague Marines or New Primaris Space Marines, which I like very much. And it also goes very well together with my female Space Marine that I made in the last episode. If you would like to support my work, you can follow links down below to my Etsy store and Patreon. That's it for this time. I will see you all in the next episode.